what I wanted to try and talk about some of the tools that different destinations use to increase their airline capacity and to protect their existing services. So I want to talk a little bit about the relationships the destinations have with airlines. I want to talk a little bit about the market research they can do for the airlines, and a little bit about the resources they need as well.
So in essence, what can the country do if it needs to attract more airlift? Is that what it's about?
Yeah, there's no single one magic piece of information or that you can help to deliver an airline. It differs from airline to airline, and again, it's no single one piece of information that you can do to necessarily support an existing carrier. Different carriers will look for different things. Some will look for stakeholder support. They want information from your hotel authorities, they want information from your governments, and they want information on how their services are performing. Others will simply just ask for hard cash, and they may ask for it in terms of marketing support, or they may ask for it in terms of some sort of revenue guarantee.
I'm sure that a lot of our countries will already know that, wouldn't they? So is the advice how then to deal with them when these requests come in?
Yeah, I think so. I think there's an important question about how they evaluate those requests when they come in. So they need to look at their overall picture, and they need to look at their overall strategy. It's no good keep supporting an airline that's going to that may not be here in 5-10 years time, or maybe consolidated in 5-10 years time. So they need to look at the total market. They need to understand the airline itself, and they need to understand the performance in that particular route and destination.
The guarantees is quite controversial, isn't it?
Yeah, I think the revenue guarantee is a big issue for the Caribbean. I think the key, before you enter into a revenue guarantee, you need to understand whether it's the right thing for that particular market. Is that carrier just asking it just to give that support in the first 1 or 2 years, or is that going to be underlying support that's going to be needed for 5-10 years? And if in my view is, if it's going to be needed for 5-10 years, you certainly don't enter into it. You also need to enter into it very, very carefully. So you need to set out the parameters with the airline, and you also need to make sure that your exposure isn't too great.
Is this revenue guarantee an incentive for the airline to fill the aircraft, or it doesn't matter because my seats are full even if they're empty?
It's not, and it shouldn't be a tool that's used on its own. So I would argue that it needs to be a tool that you also need to provide some sort of marketing support as well for that route, and that too can be either tied into the revenue guarantee or it can be done separately. But there should be a joint marketing fund between the destination and the airline.
So if it's going to be needed for 5-10 years, don't do it. What sort of maximum would you say, okay, this is where we draw the line?
Well, the full service carriers always used to work on the basis of a three-year timeline in terms of for a route to make profitability. And if you ask Virgin Atlantic, they'll still say they need a 3-year timeline. They'll also say for any long haul route, it's going to cost them about 70 million to serve that route. So if they're going to do that kind of investment, there's no reason why they shouldn't ask for some sort of support from the destination. However, if you're looking at a short-haul carrier, or you're looking at low-cost carriers serving into the US, probably the investment is a lot less. It may only be 35-40 million. So if that's the case, they'll be looking at a return far quicker as well. So they'll normally be looking for a return in a year. And I would argue that revenue guarantee can be only a year for a low-cost carrier, but for a full-service carrier, it may need to be 2 or 3 years with a reducing amount over that period.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you for the opportunity.